This is Group Three's analysis of the organization LISC. LISC's main organizational goal and brand. LISC's main goal is as follows. Together with residents and partners, we help forge resilient relationships and inclusive communities across America, great places to work, live, visit, do business, and raise families. When you first get access to their main website, you see all of their projects that LISC is involved with, building through investing their resources. LISC being a nonprofit organization, you can see the many different areas that really reflect helping people improve their quality of life and the places where they live. But you can see that their efforts to try and make these improvements can be used in a way to strengthen their online presence and gain more attention, especially since they are located all across the United States.
All right, so now we're going to get into some of the brand strengths. So first, as I said, let's start off with what are the strengths of the LISC brand and the presence when it comes to their social media and their website, as these are the two main areas of strength for the company. So starting with their website, as a group, we think it's a very great idea of having every single program that they offer and that they specialize in itemized all together so that it's easy for someone to see whether they want to learn more about a specific kind of project or a program that interests them. It's also nice to see that the website has some updated articles that are regularly changed to keep the reader involved on what current events LISC is doing. This shows that they're doing things to make these projects happen, and it shows that there's a constant work, as I said, being done behind the scenes. So looking closer into their social medias, mainly focusing on their Instagram and YouTube, they have some great strategies that are worth continuing. On Instagram, they're able to take some of the stories of people whom they've helped and share quotes about how this organization has changed their lives for the better. Furthermore, when we look at their YouTube channel, they do a great job on helping prepare someone who might be looking to use the organization, giving them tips on things like preparing for a small business loan. Through these little efforts, it shows that what a good brand that they're doing from an outside perspective looking in. And so now we're going to move to some of the weaknesses. And so oftentimes with the company, we could see some of the main strengths that they use can also hurt them. Um, so as their online presence had a lot of strengths that are beneficial in recognizing that the organization, how the organization works and functions, there are also some weaknesses that we notice might weaken the impact of the impression LISC is trying to give. Based off a first glance, something that might seem insignificant is that when you are first seeing all of the different programs, you aren't able to just click on one that you might want to view right away. You are forced to go through some click-throughs in a submenu, and even though it's not necessarily difficult, this doesn't help the viewer if they have to go looking for something that was right in front of them in the first place. Another thing we noticed on the website was the design of it was very outdated, and it feels like it was very minimalist, and that's what older websites were going for, and we feel as a group it could use an update. When viewing some of their social medias, something that stood out to us was that there was not a lot of content for today's generation. And this comes in the sense that a lot of today's content is online, is a lot more short form content that is a lot more straight to the point. So adding something more akin to this would be beneficial.
So some of the strategies that LISC could take moving forward, based on the weaknesses that we discussed, are just um, updating the website as a whole and just making it more user-friendly. So integrating a more updated look and design, just making it more appealing to the person using it will just make for an easier use and easier function. So they also could implement like mentioned the programs could have a clickable link instead of having to go through so many click-throughs, just making the website more concise and allowing for easier access is just going to make it better for the person using the website. And then also, like mentioned, they don't use social media much, which in today's world is just something that they're going to need to do if they really want to grow in in terms of like where they currently are versus where they can be. So some of the strategies they could use is implementing social media posts in their website. And so it's easier for people to access not only on the social media sites themselves, but also through their website. So some of the ones we were thinking were using short form content such as TikTok or Instagram just to reach a younger generation that may be interested in helping their cause.
All right, so affordable housing is one of the LISC's most established and impactful program areas. And through its efforts, LISC supports both the creation of new affordable housing units and the preservation of existing ones. It helps reclaim vacant lots, fund new developments, and upgrade aging buildings to provide safe and dignified housing. LISC also plays a key role in helping community developers access low-income housing tax credits, often through its affiliate, the National Equity Fund. And this makes it possible to finance high-quality projects that serve low-income residents. However, few weaknesses do emerge. Scaling affordable housing initiatives nationally is a complex challenge, particularly when relying on limited public funding sources. Furthermore, there's often a lack of integration between housing and other critical services like education, health, workforce training, and these are areas where improvement is possible. And a strong peer organization in this space is Capital Impact Partners, another leading CDFI. And like LISC, Capital Impact finances affordable housing, but it does so with a clear emphasis on wraparound services such as healthcare and education. And they've invested more than $2 billion in community projects that have created over 35,000 affordable housing units. And what's especially impressive is their robust impact measurement framework. They regularly track and report on the long-term outcomes of their investments. And compared to LISC, Capital Impact takes a more integrated, data-driven approach. While LISC may have a broader national footprint, it could also benefit from Capital Impact's emphasis on a holistic development and stronger impact training systems.
LISC's economic development program works to strengthen local economies from the ground up. This includes supporting small businesses, investing in commercial corridors, and funding community serving facilities like health centers and childcare hubs. One of LISC's strengths in this area is the combination of financial capital like grants and loans with technical assistance, meaning that giving these loans and grants to local businesses, they also get the support to know how to use those grants and loans to their most effectiveness. However, there are challenges with this. For example, many of the economic development efforts lack long-term outcomes being documented, so it's hard for them to assess which programs are really effective and what they should put more of a focus towards. Also, the program could do more to adapt to the quickly evolving economic needs of the people that they give grants and loans to. And yeah.
All right. And for their comparative analysis, to evaluate further, we looked at a different competitor called Inclusive Action for the City. It's a smaller but innovative CDFI based in Los Angeles. And while LISC casts a wider net to more communities, Inclusive Action focuses deeply on high impact, often overlooked segments of the country, such as street vendors and informal workers. And they provide microloans, legal support, and policy advocacy. One standout initiative is their community-owned real estate program, and this helps prevent the displacement of small businesses through cooperative property ownership. And Inclusive Action's strength lies in its agility, versatility, and community-centered design. Unlike LISC, which sometimes relies on conventional economic tools, Inclusive Action pushes the boundaries of what economic development can look like, especially in marginalized communities, which is something that LISC can definitely improve on. And they can draw inspiration from here to be better tailored to its programs, to those operating outside traditional business models, and that could bring a whole new base of people to their organization. And for some of our recommendations, like Chris was saying before, they don't really have a good future outlook. So maybe investing more in their analytical department will be beneficial for them in the future. And for its affordable housing work, we recommend that LISC could benefit from integrating support services such as education and health into its developments, following Capital Impact's example. These complementary services can greatly increase the long-term success of residents and LISC. And LISC should also invest in more rigorous impact measurement tools to better evaluate its effectiveness, and especially in the long run. And second, for economic development, LISC should consider adopting more flexible community-informed programming. For instance, it could pilot initiatives specifically designed for informal workers, freelancers, and micro-entrepreneurs, like those supported by Inclusive Action. And finally, LISC should continue to build adaptive systems that can respond to the rapidly shifting economic landscape, whether it's automation, remote work, or climate resilience.
That is it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.